Yesterday, all 32 NFL teams made their final roster cuts, going from a 91-man roster down to the initial 53-man roster. So that roster's set. But what about the practice squad? Well, today was that period where all teams had to fill their 16 practice squad spots, and the Minnesota Vikings did so fantastically. I like exactly what we did. There's a couple names missing from this list. So let's take a gander at what the Minnesota Vikings practice squad looks like this season. We have N'Keal Harry, who made the team. I kind of expected that to be the case. He spent time with us last year, a lot of the time. Or at least this preseason, he's seen some action. So I like this signing just in case we do, lose a couple tight ends. TJ Hawkinson out the first 4 weeks. So we have Johnny Munt, Josh Oliver, Nick Muse as the 3 tight ends so far on the roster. So once TJ Hawkinson comes back, I could expect the Vikings to release N'Keal Harry or somebody else on this practice squad. Then for the running back positions, Dwayne McBride and Myles Gaskin. Now there's one name that has been on the roster for a couple seasons now, was our kick returner, punt returner, was probably the fastest guy on the team. Kene Nwangwu is no longer a Minnesota Viking. He went to the waivers, and he actually was claimed by the New York Jets, so he is not on the team. That was a big surprise to me. I felt like we could have kept him just for at least this season. I thought he was a perfect returner for us. But, the new kickoff return or the new kickoff rules may have changed the Vikings' outlook on that position. So that probably is why Kene Nwangwu ultimately hit waivers. I'm sure the Vikings made a push to sign him. But ultimately, in the end, Myles Gaskin had the better preseason. Dwayne McBride was a draft pick of a couple of years ago. So it only makes sense that these guys made the team. Cornerbacks, Jalen Williams and Nashawn Wright. Now, Nashawn Wright was traded straight up to the Dallas Cowboys. In return, we had to give or trade it from the Dallas Cowboys to the Minnesota Vikings, where we traded Andrew Booth Jr. So it's just basically a player swap there. Again, both players, Andrew Booth and Nashawn Wright, similar play type, similar style, similar production. So you could only assume that if Andrew Booth was still over here, he'd probably be on the practice squad as well. So they are not making or won't be seeing any action, at least anytime soon this season. And then safety, Bobby McCain, who laid the boom multiple times during the preseason. I loved what I seen out of him. He has a high motor, flying around. He was making plays. He's from the Miami Dolphins, where he was actually coached by Brian Flores. So I thought it was fitting that he made the team. But there's also a name you're seeing or not seeing here that makes you go, wow, I thought he would have made the team. Lewis Cine, first pick under the Kwesi Adofo-Mensah era. 32 overall out of Georgia. There was a lot of speculation that he was going to be traded, which there were multiple teams interested in Lewis Cine. Nothing came to fruition on a deal, so Lewis Cine ultimately seen himself hit the waiver wire, where he went and was claimed by the Jets. Kene Nwangwu, earlier I said he was claimed by the Jets. Kene Nwangwu was actually claimed by the Saints. Lewis Cine is claimed by the Jets. He's ultimately going to be on their practice squad as well this season. It's just very unfortunate. I thought, when we drafted him, this guy was going to be a difference maker on this team. Suffers that gruesome ankle injury and just really was never the same since then, right? Last year, he spent most of the time on special teams, so he's seen a lot of action, but this year, there just wasn't enough room for him to make the 53-man roster, and we thought, hey, there's other players that we would like to have on our practice squad rather than Lewis Cine, so he is gone. Outside linebacker Bo Richter had a pretty good preseason. Like to see him on the squad. Tight end Samus Reyes, he's actually, if you see that star next to his name, if you don't, I apologize, but he's an international player pathway, or from the International Player Pathway Program, which the NFL has started just a couple years ago, I believe, where, it gives the chance for those international players to make their dreams come true and to change their families' outlook, basically, or their future, if you will. So Samus Reyes makes the lights. We have 2 tight ends in the practice squad room, which means that we'll go in the regular season with 4 or 3 active tight ends, 1 on the PUP list, the physically unable to perform list, and then 2 on the practice squad. Then we go to the defensive side of things. Outside linebacker Andre Carter II hits our practice squad. I believe that's exactly where he was last year, so good to see him back on the team. 2 guards were kept, Henry Bird and Tyrese Robinson. Again, our offensive line has been cheeks the last couple seasons. We don't really have much depth in the offensive line room, so keeping some on the practice squad pending injuries and stuff like that is very, very smart from the Minnesota Vikings. 2 wide receivers were kept on the practice squad. 3 wide receivers were kept on the practice squad. Lucky Jackson, Jashawn Jones, and Thayer Thomas. Again, we really didn't need too many, but these guys gives our starting defense better looks from time to time. They have some speed. They really were able to get it done this preseason. Lucky Jackson's seen a lot of time. He was actually from the XFL, so good to see him on the team. Another tight end, Robert Tonyan, makes the team. He's been dealing with a little bit of an injury throughout the entire offseason program. So I think the Vikings see a lot of upside in Tunyon. Maybe there's a potential possibility he sees his way on the active roster, again, pending injuries and stuff like that. So we have 3 tight ends on the roster, and then defensive lineman Jonah Williams and linebacker Dallas Gant made the practice squad. So those are 16 picks that are remaining on the practice squad this season for the Minnesota Vikings. Really like to see that type of the way the Minnesota Vikings went about it, right? A lot of teams will go out and search other players that have been released from, certain teams around the league to pick up and put on their practice squad, where the Vikings, it seems as if I don't see any names that I don't remember speaking about during the preseason or the offseason programs or even in the undrafted segments and stuff like that, which means they kept everything in-house, right? Their whole practice squad, their entire roster was people that they invested in, people that they drafted, people that were already there, people that were signed after the draft. The undrafted free agents is what I'm talking about. Some of the signings, the offseason signings, where when we suffered injuries at the cornerback position, we really made those additions. So the Vikings kept everything, or all the players that were already here through the entire offseason, right? The rookie minicamp, the OTAs, training camp, the preseason. They kept every single person that they had, minus a couple, obviously, because 91 people down to 53, and then you could add 16, so that makes what, 69? Yes, no, yeah, 69 players total on the roster, counting the practice squad. So that makes me pretty excited, because these guys know the playbook. So if injuries do happen and they have to, or they get called up, they know exactly what to do. They know what type of scheme we're running, how we're gonna want them to run the plays and stuff like that. So really, overall, I'm pleased with what the Minnesota Vikings did this season, and boy, I cannot wait for that September 8th matchup against the New York Giants, Week 1 at MetLife Stadium. You guys let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, what you think about this practice squad. Would you have liked to see a couple other players add it? Would you like to see the Vikings go make some more moves? Just let me know your overall thoughts down below. Also, drop a like and subscribe to the channel. It'd be much, much appreciated. Have a great rest of the night, folks, and Skol Vikes.